It's a great day to talk hockey with Grant McCagg on HabsCast.
And a good Sunday morning to you. Sunday, you know what that means. We've got Rick Springhetti's draft prospect of the week, my Habs prospect of the week. So it's the best day of the week. And there's a Habs game on at, 5 o'clock today?
5 o'clock.
Yeah. Michigan, of course, is playing at 5:30. So if Hage is playing, we don't know yet. It's kind of being, oh well, that's how they do it these days, right? No use letting the opposition know whether your star player is going to play or not, so they can't really game plan against him. If he's there in warm up, we'll probably know by warm up. Well, there's Hage, he's playing, but I guess it's people don't know. They think it's day to day. Hopefully he plays because this is great experience for a player. One of the best experiences outside of the NHL as far as just experience towards becoming an NHLer someday is being able to play in the NCAA tournament. The games are so exciting, fast-paced, and really, really good hockey. And Michigan needs him. All hands on deck. We saw what happened to MSU yesterday, right? They lose to Wisconsin in what was a fairly big upset. So they need everybody on board to win today's game, I would think. Rick, how are you today?
I am doing great, Grant. I'm always happy to be talking hockey with you any day of the week, but Sunday's a little bit special. I think it's to really get to have a little bit more fun and really look at different aspects of the Habs and the games and touch on a lot of things. So always a great way to spend my Sunday talking hockey with you, my friend.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So Minnesota Duluth and Michigan play at 5:30 today. The other semifinal goes earlier this afternoon, and that should be a dandy as well. It's we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. Western Michigan against Denver, and of course Miller won't be playing in nets. It'll be Johnny Hicks, but Sam Harris, who had a goal and assist the other night, he'll be playing. So there's still a couple of Habs prospects left here in the tournament, and hopefully at least one of them, even better if both, make it to the next round. We'll see, but a great day for hockey. Lots of playoff hockey throughout. In many leagues, it's playoff time. This is when you separate the wheat from the chaff, and I really I put a lot of stock into how a player looks at this time of year, and so it means a lot of scouting for us guys this time of year, right, Rick?
Yeah, it feels like we're always after every game. As we're watching it, we feel more intense. When you first start watching at the start of the year, you're kind of looking at it a little bit laid back, just seeing what the players' skills are, what they do well, what they have to work on, and then as you're watching at the end, you're looking at players that you really like, and you're like kind of pushing for them inadvertently. You kind of get caught up, and you're like, come on, man, you can do this. Do something. I really liked you at the start of the year. Show me that you still have it. Show me that you can do it when the game is important. Show me that I should have had faith in you. And you said it so well, right, about the importance of these games, because a guy like Michael Age, right, as he's getting into later on in his college hockey career, there's a difference between being a player on the team and being expected to lead your team. And now they need him to be their go-to guy. And that's a different kind of pressure, right? Because now you have the pressure of carrying the team on your back, kind of, being one of the guys who was carrying the team on your back. You have the pressure of the opponent kind of sending their best against you. And you have the pressure of the moment. And this is what we want to know, Grant. When we're looking at players, we're less interested in what he's going to do in the first 5-10 games of the year, but we really care about what he's going to do in the playoffs, because that's why you draft the guys. It's you're willing to take a little bit less of an effect, or a little bit less of a factor when the games don't matter, if they're a factor when the games do matter. So yeah, we're watching it like with intensity almost, and it's so much fun. And then you love to see the players step up and really become a factor when you're watching these games.
Yeah, and the U18s, of course, will be coming up, and that will be the other thing that we really keep an eye on, of course. Big win for the Habs last night. I seem to say that every time they win a game. 4 straight wins now. The defense is really looks like it's gelled. Anderson, I guess he's got the flu or something like that, because that's so we don't know if he's going to be playing or not. Caper Boy here seems to think that, I don't know what he's saying. Saying D'Amico said he can't talk about Laine, so I doubt he's activated today. I don't understand what that means, but like D'Amico isn't isn't the coach. He doesn't he doesn't tell us whether or not a player is playing, but he's probably, because he hasn't been activated yet, I guess that he's not going to play. And maybe Texier's ready too. He seems to be day to day. It just seems like the Habs are not going to give Laine a look here, but I don't know. I think it would be wise. And today would have been, okay, Josh, you sit this one out. You're sick. Texier, wait another day. We'll bring in Laine and give him a game, at least one, anyways, just to, like, what if they run into injury problems at playoff time, right? And like, especially scorers, like I don't wish this on anybody, obviously, but what if Caulfield got injured or something like that, right? And you don't have that goal scoring piece on the power play that you need. And here's Laine, a 35 goal scorer for his career per season, who hasn't played a game in months. And so you don't know whether you can use him or not, because you've never given him a game, like no games, just to get acclimated to and have a look at him and see, well, okay, if need be, we can use him if we run into injuries down the stretch or in the playoffs. You at least have given him a game or two, and you've looked at him. He's in a little better game shape than if he doesn't play at all. Like, practicing and game are two completely different things. So personally, I'd put him in the lineup today. I'd give him a look. I'd protect his minutes, obviously. And if he's way behind everybody, like he could be some games in the past, then you just play him on the power play and play him a bit. I mean, you don't have to play him. Just because he's in the lineup doesn't mean you have to play him 15 minutes. They won last night going with 11 forwards for most of the game. So, you can spot him in if he really looks out of place. Anyway, my feeling is that today, if you're ever going to give him a look before the end of the season, it's today. And if they don't, and it looks like they haven't, then it means that he's not going to get a look before the end of the year, I don't think.
No, and that whole situation, just there's a lot of oddness in the situation. There's a lot of questions. I know, why is he still on the injury list? Why don't you just activate him and not play him? But why does he have to stay on the injury list? I don't get it. Why is the NHLPA not raising a red flag, saying he's been practicing for a few weeks now? Why is he still on the injury list? Why isn't nobody getting in touch with Montreal and saying, what's going on here? Why is Patrick Laine accepting this? And if there's an issue with him at the NHL, like, there's not a lot of games left. Might be a good time to send him on a conditioning stint at Laval and make him play 2 games, whatever he's allowed to play in Laval. You could still do that, and at least give him some ice time somewhere. So there's a lot of stuff going on with this whole situation that I don't get. I know, and I agree with you. In theory, he should be playing with the Habs, even on the third or fourth line. And as you said, give him a few minutes on the power play where he feels comfortable and he could get some shots on nets. But that's not even happening. So it's just the whole thing is very odd, and it's almost. I mean, thank God the team is winning because it's not a distraction. But if they lose like even two in a row, I think this whole thing will start becoming a distraction again, and people will start asking, "What the heck is going on? Why are you approaching it this way?" I wish I had the answer, Brent, and I don't know what it is. But in theory, I would like to see him play at least a game or two.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess they're just not going to give him a look. I don't know. Francois says it's because they're looking in practice every day and presume there's something they don't like. I don't know. Like, you don't know till you friggin' play a guy in the game whether like what in practice would they not like? Like, he's just. I mean, we see highlights all the time of him. He's stick handling well. He's shooting well. All that stuff. So I don't know. I just it doesn't make sense to me that they wouldn't give him a look. He hasn't complained once to the media or anything like that. So you can't say, oh, well, it's because he's being a jerk, and so we're not going to play him, and he's a cancer around the team. I think his teammates like him a lot, and he's been nothing but a loyal soldier here the whole time he's been with the Canadians. There's been no off-ice distractions or complaints or anything, and he's been known for that in the past. Like, if he'd have been sitting all this time, 2 months of being healthy and not playing a game when he was younger, he'd have piped up about it, but he hasn't said a word, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit perplexed why it seemed like you say, why what's the difference whether he's activated or not? It doesn't count towards the cap any different, does it?
Not that I know of. And another thing, Grant, too quickly is if he's not playing well, if he's not doing well at practice, and the team doesn't like what he's seeing, well, then he's on the reserve list. Take him off the ice. Say, well, you're obviously injured. You're not performing well enough. Take another week or two off. And then if he's not showing up at practices and not around the team, and he's on the injury list, well, that makes more sense. It's less of a question, right? So that's the thing too that I wonder about.
Well, I mean, is it, well, we're not going to activate him because he looks slow? Well, he always looks slow. It's not like he's not super quick. But anyway, it just seems a little odd that, they haven't given him one. Veleno's not hurting the team. He gives his all out there and stuff, but he's not going to score. That's pretty obvious that he just can't score. So, is Laine really that much less of a impactful player than Joe Veleno if he's out there? Like, I know Veleno's been out on the PK and stuff, but Suzuki is a really good penalty killer. And if you don't have Joe Veleno, you can have Nick Suzuki. And if you feed him for a breakaway pass shorthanded, the odds of him scoring on it are a little higher than the odds of Joe last night, right? Like, I would have liked that. I would have liked that to have been Suzuki that got that puck. I remember like that there was that playing and another one like, oh, here's a really good chance. Nice feed. Oh, it's Veleno. And then, I mean,
but Suzuki has a heck of a hard time on the penalty shots at the end of the game too. So maybe Suzuki would not have been that much better.
Right, but penalty shots and breakaways, two different things. Susie's a lot better. Susie has spotted a few, in game, less thinking, right? You're just reacting. Different story, but yeah, right. If it was a shootout, it's not. It's a different thing.
For sure.
Naray says he'd rather call up Blay. Yeah, but the thing is that they're on the road. They're in Nashville. That 5 o'clock afternoon game. You're not calling up a guy that played the night before it for Laval, right? You're not going to be making him come practice play. Laine's there. He's been practicing all for months now. You don't call up you can't when you're on the road like that. If Laval was playing at home and Montreal was playing at home, then yeah, you could call up Blay and it wouldn't be that big a deal. But they're on the road and they're playing, 5 o'clock in the afternoon too. So it just doesn't make logistical sense to call up a player one game. What it's telling me probably is either Anderson or Texier is probably going to be playing today.
I wouldn't be surprised because they did specify that it was sickness, right? So that could be pretty quick turnaround, or at least he's good enough to play the next day. So I'm thinking Josh Anderson will be back for tonight's game and maybe just see limited minutes. But then again, that does become a danger because Montreal are played 2 games in less than 24 hours. Like it's hard to run on 3 lines right now if you've only played 2 games in less than 24 hours, plus the travel. You're really going to need contribution from everybody tonight. Everybody's going to have to play good minutes, and they're going to have to play smart. So if you're going to take a chance on Josh Anderson, you have to be sure that he could finish the game and play decent minutes or else you have another problem. Another question that just popped into my mind right now is this could be the dream come true for a certain fans and say, is Jack going to be your extra forward, right?
Well, that was my next.
Yeah.
That's where I was going next. And
right.
I like to get through a podcast without mentioning the name Arber Xhekaj, but it's just an impossibility. Yes. The defenseman converted to enforcer forward. That, there is certainly, I get the question just about every day, either on X or here. What about converting them to forward, right?
Yeah.
And as I pointed out, I had a good conversation with it last night, and people were I said, who's the last guy that, an established NHL defenseman enforcer that got converted to forward, it's a pretty short list. The closest that we got to, Wendell Clark, but he was 18, right? He got drafted as a defenseman, but right from training camp of his first NHL camp, he played forward. They put him on the wing, 18 years of age, right? You're still like in the development stage, and they made him so it's not like he's 25 like Arber, and it's not like, they knew he could score goals. He had a great shot up on the wing. He was a scrapper, but he, like Arber, you aren't putting Arber up on the wing because, he's going to become a 25, 30 goal scorer if we put him up there. That's probably not the case. The other name that came out of the woodwork was Nick Delorier.
Yeah.
But again, Nick, it wasn't like at 25, he was already an established NHL defenseman. He never played a game in the NHL as a defenseman, right? And they made the conversion like right away at his pro career type thing. Okay, we're going to put you on the wing, season you in the American League, get adopted, and then, he eventually gets called up and plays in the NHL. But to ask a guy at 25 to just, okay, we're going to convert you to a winger here, and you're going to play NHL games at a position that you've never played before. I can't think of one example of that, and especially a guy that's not, they wouldn't be doing it because, we think he can be a goal scorer up there. They'd be doing it, to have an enforcer on the wing as opposed to on defense. And I sort of get that mentality where you're saying, well, you'd rather have an enforcer that plays up front than on defense because you only have 6 defensemen. You don't want them sitting in the box. And that's the thought process on it, right? But the way you go about that is that you get an actual forward that's an enforcer. You don't try to convert somebody at 25 from defense into a forward.
Yeah, I think you brought up some great points about both those guys. Clark and the big enforcer there for Carolina now. They were both. It was both done at the very start of the season, or it was planned ahead of time. That's important. Because another thing too about both those guys, Nick Delorier is the name of they were both like relatively decent skaters. Well, Clark was a good skater. Delorier was at that age was not a bad skater going forward up and down the wing. He had some power and he could play that pace a little bit. The problem with doing this right now for Jakai is that there's a different pace between playing forward and defenseman. And it's going to be difficult to ask him at this part of the season to go up and down the wing and to stay in motion as much. He's not used to it. He's not ready for it. If ever Montreal decide that they want to explore this option, this has to be decided right at the end of the regular season or right at the end of the season. Let him know, and he has to plan accordingly his off season to work on his stamina and his pace, maybe lose just a few pounds to be a little bit lighter. So he could play up and down. To do this at this point of the season with no experience, with a body type and a skating ability that's not super fluid, it's going to be difficult. What I think would happen is he'd get on the ice for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, he'd go up and down, and the last 20, 30 seconds of a shift, he'd be sucking wind and struggling. And he already has trouble enough doing that defensively, where when he loses position, he's not quick enough to gain it back. Doing it as a forward is it's setting him up for failure, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Even worse, let's say after 15, 20 seconds, something comes up, somebody wants to challenge him. He's winded. He's done.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great point, Rick. And I mean, I know it from firsthand experience. I played a lot of defense and forward in my stellar hockey career there. And I mean, there's a reason why you see players when there is a conversion, it's forward to defense, like Bufflin, like Burns, it's not the other way around because you're exactly right. The pace, you can pace yourself on defense. And older, like in my 30s, playing senior hockey and stuff, I converted from wing to defense, in part because there just weren't enough defensemen and they needed somebody, and I could play anywhere, and okay, I'll play defense. But I mean, also in part, I noticed quite clearly, okay, I can play every second shift. I can play, and it was another reason to do it too, because you get to play more, right? But every second shift, couldn't do that up front. Not at the pace that you have to play at. You got to be up and down, up and down. The defenseman doesn't, unless you're Laine Hudson, then. But he's a freak, right?
Yeah.
So you're exactly right. He would not be used to the pace, and you think Gallagher sucks wind at the end of shifts. I'm sure I'd be just done. He'd be 15 seconds and then like you say, a minute. Imagine him a minute into a forward shift and then having to fight Tanners, no.
It won't happen. Again, it's and if you get hemmed into your own zone and you're there for sometimes, you're on ice for a minute 20, a minute 30 seconds, and you're trying to get the puck out of your zone and you're struggling. The opponent is fast, and if you're going to do it, also doing it on the road is another difficulty on top of it, because now you got the other team has a second change, right? and they could put quicker forwards on the ice. And now you're really forcing him. If they're a good puck possession team like Carolina can be, there's chances where he's going to be stuck in his own zone for a long, long time trying to chase that puck. And you're going to see a lot of breakdowns, and just it's going to be too difficult. I mean, if you want to do this again, off season, start there, get him ready. This time of the year, it's just not possible. I would not even think of it. It would just be a disaster, I think.
Donnie McCaskill. There were some good names brought up last night, and he mentioned Gary Leeman, and I'd forgotten about, like, that's right. Like, and he even started his career early on with the Leafs as a defenseman, and they moved him up to forward. And obviously, like, he was an undersized defenseman, right? It made sense. Again, he was a big point producer at the junior level, and he was just not rugged enough to play defense in the NHL. They made the smart, tried him at wing, and the slow process, but he became a 50-goal scorer. And of course, Habs fans would remember Gary Leeman because he was part of a small part, but he was on that squad that won a cup with the Habs. And it was, people brought up Byfuglien, but Byfuglien, it was the other way around. He played defense the last 10 years of his career. He was in no shape to be going up and down the wing, at 275 pounds, when he was in Winnipeg and stuff. But
Dandonneau played a little bit of forward as a defenseman, but he was a smooth skating defenseman. He was a skating defenseman, so it's a little bit easier for him to be able to switch. And it wasn't happening that often.
Right, but it was more, I think, forward that kind of converted to defense. That, like,
you're right.
Other than the other way around, right? Like,
you're right.
I still remember when Dandonneau and Bouillon were paired together at times, and I remember being on the message board and remember that Dandouillon, like somebody, like they make one word out of it. And it was, oh no, Dandouillon's on the ice again, like the tandem, right? That scared people. And him and those two and Patrick Travers, the unholy triumvirate, as somebody dubbed them.
Oh, yes. That trade.
Remember the
that's a name.
No, that would go back to Forum Locker Room, FLR.
It was not there that often. I think we met on HF boards, you and I. That we first, but not before that.
Yeah. Well, there was the Forum Locker Room, FLR. I was on there, and HF boards Montreal. That's kind of, I cut my teeth in the social media system in those two places. Spent far too many hours, but you know what? It got me where I am today. It was through HF boards that Ian Morel, got to know me and would follow my posts and say, "Oh, this guy seems to know his prospects pretty well. I'm going to ask him if he wants to work for me for McKean's." And he got in touch with me one day and said, "I've seen your posts on, on HF boards, and would you like to write for McKean's?" And that got my start publicly, being a scout, an independent scout, right? And I started up the draft guide, of course, with McKean's, founded that and published it, and then got you on board eventually there, writing, scouting for McKean's, and the rest is history. Look at us. Yes. Look at us today. Our names are in bright lights.
It's been a fun ride so far, my friend.
Yeah. And, Tommy's bringing up, and yes, I was thinking when I was, Toronto seems to have done it more than any other team. As I was thinking of Lehman and Clark, Red Kelly was the one that came most to mind. And pretty impressive that Red Kelly played defense and then center, I mean, that's the first and the only guy that I think that's ever done that, made that transition. Quite an all-around hockey player back in the day, Red Kelly. Of course, we don't remember his playing days, but Red became the coach, and this was before your time too, Rick. I remember him being the coach. Those big, they back in the days of the Broad Street Bullies, Schultz at his peak and all that. Um, Toronto played Philly twice in the mid to late 70s in the playoffs, and it was just bench clearing brawls. That back then you didn't get penalized for leaving the bench, so it happened all the time. But crazy series those 2 years, Tiger Williams and all the scraps. And but Red, as a coach, he came up with he decided that they needed a bit of a divine intervention here to beat the Flyers. And he had pyramid power. He had a pyramid, they call it pyramid power, and he put a pyramid under the bench. And as good luck, and it was going to, however, help them win, and they almost pulled it off.
Wow.
So then the next year, he switched to, he said, okay, we're going ion power. And he hit ion under the bench. And
Really?
needless to say, it didn't work. But actually, it worked for one. I think 1 year it worked to a certain degree because they beat the Islanders, upset the Islanders. And this was just before they went, they were just building their team, and the Laine McDonald scored a famous overtime goal to eliminate the Islanders. And I was happy as a Habs fan because you could tell, they already had Bossy, Trache, Gillies, they had Potvin defense, they had Billy Smith. Like, they were going to give Montreal as good a go as anybody if they played them in the next round. And I was happy that it ended up being Toronto, and Montreal swept them in 4 straight in the next round. But anyway,
Good stuff.
Little trip down memory lane.
Yeah, great. That's stuff that I am not always aware of. But yeah, Red Kelly was also a phenomenal player. Like, it's not typical that a guy can go from defense to center, and we can't expect that kind of success with 99.999% of NHL players. So great examples, but again, they don't really suit what's happening right now with Montreal, right?
Yeah. Again, Bufflin, his last 8 years in the league, did not play forward. It was rare. It would be the odd shift, And again, Brett Burns was a forward that switched to defense. So they played the odd game up front every now and then, but no, they converted from forward to defense, not the other way around.
Yeah. They did it too with Greg Rivet for sometimes, right, Grant? Remember when they did it with Greg Rivet when King was an Habs assistant coach, Dave King? And during a playoff series, I think they were taking on, it might have been Pittsburgh. They used Greg Rivet, but it was not, the problem is it was not as a forward. He used them as a third defenseman, basically.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it took me 3 times, but you're saying Craig Rivet? Okay. Yes. You were saying Greg Rivet.
Yeah.
Greg Rivet. I thought it was all one word. Who's Greg Rivet? Okay, Craig Rivet, yes.
Yes. And but it was not as a forward.
Bit. Right, but again, I mean, single games here and there have been guys, and Rick Chartrand back again before your time played both. Jimmy Roberts for the Canadians. They kind of switched back and forth, those two. They play some games on defense. They play some games with Bob Gainey and Doug Jarvis. Roberts was one of the first that did it kind of, all right, we need you on defense today. We need you up front next game, right? Scotty Bowman's favorite player, he traded for him, I don't know, 3 times or something like that. But so last night's game.
Yes.
One of the best performances of the year. nice to have one where you kind of like, okay, they're going to win this one. You sort of had the feeling in the second period I'm going to relax a little bit here, not be on the edge of my seat. I might even need my nail clippers today because I didn't gnaw off my fingernails. You didn't watch the game live, and I guess you knew the outcome, so you were in the same boat as me. But in watching the game this morning, what did you think of Montreal's performance last night?
A few things I think that really came to mind, right? Is sometimes they've taken on so many tough opponents and tough situations, like you said so well, right? A ton of nail biters. But yesterday, because it was more of a loose game, it was good to see the support players getting some success. Now, that second line really came on strong. And that was so important because you kind of need that game. You need games like that to get the ball rolling at times. Sometimes the puck is not going in, you're not getting the success, and then you take on a team that's a bit lesser. Pucks go in, big night offensively. That could be the catalyst for to get their game back. York was really good last night. For the first time in a long time, he was using his speed effectively to create space and to get possession. And Kapanen and Demidov were fantastic last night. I thought defensively Kapanen was good, and Demidov played a really strong, even a two-way game a little bit. He was involved.
Yeah.
He was effective. The first line was the first line. They only got one goal, or kind of one and a half, with Suzuki making the pass to Demidov on his goal. But they were getting chances, and the other lines also played really well. And again, it's always that same debate about team toughness, and the Habs are not tough enough. Well, I'm sorry, but Evangelista, they showed team toughness. Evangelista was targeted all night after that hit on Fowler, and they made him pay for it. Matheson hit him hard. Valeno went after him. Struble gave him a hard hit. I think at one point even Evans got him. They made his life miserable, and they showed team toughness, and that's what you need more than anything else. So even though you took on a team that didn't play a very good game, and they're barely in the playoffs or not in the playoffs anymore, or not expected to make the playoffs, good came out of it. Some very important stuff came out of it. So win for Montreal, win in many different ways. And they showed some important things out there that's going to serve them well until the rest of the season, I find.
Yeah. You forgot to talk about the enforcer Hudson there, making life miserable for guys that run the goalies. Mark was kind enough to bring that up. But yes, nice to see late. Like, that's 2 games in a row. Like, hey, what the hell? You get pushed back, like Laine said to me in an interview a couple of years ago, we're all the same size on the ice, as far as he's concerned, right? He doesn't think, oh, I'm too small here. I liked what Struble did there. He gave him a good, and what, let him know in no certain terms that I'm going to beat the crap out of you, if you do that again. And he would, Evangelista's not going to drop the gloves with Struble. He's brighter than that. Struble can handle himself. He's demonstrated that he's more than capable. Practicing his fighting with Jack is kind of cool. We've seen it a few times. He didn't fight in college. Well, you get kicked out of the games. And he told me in an interview a couple 3 years ago that he never really fought in minor hockey either. So his only, experience with fighting came off the ice. And I asked him, well, have you ever been? Well, oh yeah. He knew how to handle himself, right? But so, like, they've got to learn how to fight. And and we've already seen, like, 2 or 3 years from now, Struble could be one of the best fighters in the league. Like, I mean, and you've seen the confidence that grew in him when he KO'd a guy in preseason. Was it Cousins? I think it was Nick Cousins. And then bloodied him up. And you just see the confidence grew to the point where he freaking challenges Zadorov, the 6'6", 230
Ah,
off the opening faceoff, and
yeah,
handles himself quite well. So it's not like they don't have somebody that can take care of things if Arber's not in the lineup. And really, even this year, if you want to be, real truthful about it, Strubal's fought better. He's done better in fights this year than Jack-Eye, albeit Jack-Eye probably fought a couple of tougher guys maybe overall. But, I mean, Strubel fared as well as Jack-Eye or better against Zadorov. And, Jack-Eye lost again to Jeannot and kind of didn't do that well in another one. And I think he won one fight. So, it's the jury's still out a bit on just how great a fighter Arber is right now in the NHL. I think he's lost a couple, and his confidence, he's not fighting very often either. And that's the other thing. Like, people seem to think, well, you got to have him in the lineup for that toughness. But when you fight once every 20 games or so, how impactful is that? It's not like he's beating somebody up every game or something like that. It's, it's occasionally. So anyway, yeah, and Yannick, yeah, and Cousins. That's right, both of them. It was Yannick in preseason, and then Cousins in the at the start of the year, I guess it was. But yeah, he bloodied up both of them. Struble, I'm talking about, somebody who just weighed in. Thank you, Jay. But yeah, it anyway. I've been saying about getting back to the game. We're replacing Newhook, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. That
same here.
kind of looks stupid. Last night.
I was on that bandwagon, my friend. I was on it too.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, last night they were I thought they were they each scored a goal. They had a goal and an assist, so hard to say that they didn't look good last night. But that was their best game as a trio since early in the year when they were together, and they had a couple of good games. But certainly since Newhook's return from injury, their best game as a line by far. Demidov, man, he was just a beast. You could see early on that he was going, and it's been that way the last 2 or 3 games. We've seen that, the Deeks the other night, and then just all around competitive fire in all 3 zones last night was incredible.
It was. He was engaged. He was breaking up plays.
Yeah. And again, this Arber allows the whole team to play more confidently. Well, the last 4 games in Ord Trap, without Arber in the lineup, they won 4 straight. So that to me is the most important thing, winning the game. Like, I haven't seen them playing scared the last 4 games. Like, I don't notice that there's any real big difference with it's Arber, Struble in the lineup as far as being afraid or, not being willing to get into. I really think that's overrated. It really is. And when Arber's, like, he's only on the ice 11 minutes a game, and it's not against other teams' top guys usually and stuff. So, and people, and somebody brought it up the other day, like, will a guy say, well, I'm not gonna cross-check that guy in front of the net because Jack-Eye might come after me later in the game? No, you don't. There's nobody in the NHL that think, oh no, Arber Jack-Eye's on the bench. I'm not gonna take this guy out hard in front of the net, or I'm not gonna. I mean, we've seen all sorts of examples of opposing teams taking liberties with Habs players when Arber's in the lineup. And I don't find that it's any more pronounced when he's not in the lineup. There really is, like, NHL players don't operate that way where they're, I'm afraid to, I'm not going to, I'm not going to hit that guy hard because Arbor Jacki is on the bench. It doesn't. It's not their mentality, and I think it's really overrated. But anyway, here we are getting into a big Arbor. I've been telling people not to talk much about Arbor Jacki, and here I am again. Anyway, let's move on.
All right.
Fowler looked like the Canadians were getting their first shutout of the season, and then Stanchion says, no, that ain't happening. That was really unfortunate. The way they were playing in Nashville's lack of dangerous opportunities, unless they get that stupid break, I don't think that they were going to score a goal last night. So it's too bad. It would have been his first NHL shutout, and it would have been the club's first shutout of the year, right?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's true. I don't remember them getting a shutout all year, so it could have been. But I'm not 100% to be very honest with you. I don't know. I cannot remember. And although we did not get the shutout, I am considering it.
The entire club has not got a shutout this year, Rick.
Wow.
Not just Fowler. So, yeah.
Wow.
Would have been nice to. It's time. Or wait a sec. No. Fowler got a shutout. All right.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm considering it a moral shutout. That goal is not a good enough goal to take away a shutout, so it's a moral shutout in my opinion. They only scored because of a fluke, and that's good enough for me, my friend. He was good.
No,
he was solid.
Yeah, no, that's right. Early on, like his second game or something, he got a friggin' shutout, eh? And we thought, superstar in the making. But that's the only friggin' shutout that we got all season long. So, folks, you can keep. I've made note that he got a shutout, so we don't need you after the fact correcting me on that. An ORTAP, you're being a bit of a thorn in my side so far today, buddy. Oh, well, we love you all. Thank you for coming out.
Yes.
2H can. Some of these names, eh? 2 hours can, I guess. I don't know. What if both Texier and Anderson are out? They won't be playing line A, right? And no call-ups. Well, one of those three is going to play today, right? They're not going to be calling somebody up. They'd have done it by now.
It's going to be 7D.
Yeah, well, yeah. If need be, they'll go Jacki on the fourth line. Oh my goodness, people be. You know what they might do? 7D and a couple of shifts of Jacki up front or something like that, right?
Right.
Play a couple shifts on the fence, couple shifts on the, on the fourth line or something. Maybe that would be what they do. It wouldn't be the first time. They played with 7D a couple times this year and a few times last year, so it wouldn't be like they've never done it before. But that would be, as you say, that would be what they do. So, yeah. I think punching serves as a better deterrent than body checks. Okay. Again, Struble can punch. So if they had to have punched, he could have do the job last night, especially against any of the. There's nobody on Nashville that Jaden Struble can't beat up. So
that's it.
If it had been needed, and again, like what Montreal won 4-1. They dominated the game. So why does it bother people so much? Like it's this machismo thing, right? Well, we got to not only win the game, we got to beat up the other team. We got to be the toughest. Like, no, you don't. It's not the 90s anymore when that was just so important. You had to have the toughest guy, you had to have the best fighter. You had to win in the alley and on the ice. It's just, the game has changed, right? I'm not anti-fighting. Hey, I get into it as much as anybody else when there's a Hab fighting. I'm freaking, oh, come on, win that. I want him to win.
Yeah.
But like we gotta stop the mentality where it's just it's so important that you have the best fighter and that he's fighting, and that there's some thought that it just somehow, if you've got a guy that's a good fighter in your lineup, that's just makes all the difference in the world. Well, name a top team that's got a one of the league's best enforcers, right? I mean, Nick Delorier, has he ever played on a freaking championship team? No, he's on teams that never make the playoffs. Who's the other? Matthew Olivier. What's his resume in being on teams that go all the way? They never freaking play in the playoffs. They may make it as the 8th seed this year and won't go anywhere. But having the toughest guy in the league, it does not result in you winning championships. There's no correlation there. So it's not that important. It's nice from a macho point of view, but that's it. And anyway, I don't know why it's so it's something that's brought up all the time. And Marty doesn't like anybody that can fight, and I hear that complaint constantly. You know what Marty likes? Marty likes players that are going to help them win games. That's what he likes. And they come in all shapes and sizes.
And also, Grant, just out of curiosity, let's say Montreal did have Jack or any other enforcer in the lineup. Matthew Olivier, Delorier was with the Habs. Who would they have taken on against Nashville last night? Evangelista's not going to drop the gloves against Jacky, nor should he. He shouldn't even think of it. He's not going to do it. I mean, he's 5'11". I think he's 190 pounds. He's not going to go up against Jacky, and it's totally justifiable. Who on the lineup? Who in the roster of Nashville would have answered the call? They don't have anybody like that. Anybody would have taken on. All that would have happened is they would have refused the fight, and Jacky would have had a 2-minute for roughing that would have led to nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what would have happened.
Yeah. No, somebody mentioned, of course, there'll always be somebody that comes up, that has to, you're wrong because of this guy, or, Ryan Reeves. Okay. So one time in the last, 20 years, Ryan Reeves with Vegas. Ryan Reeves played 5 minutes a game on the fourth line. I don't know that he was the best fighter in the league still at the time, but one of the better ones. But really, how impactful was he on them winning a cup? Partially, I guess, but it was a lot more to do with the entire team than the fourth line 8 minutes a game guy that could barely keep up. They didn't win a cup because of Ryan Reeves.
Right,
and that's like the only example you can come up with in the last who knows how long. Tom Wilson helped. Well, again, he wasn't the best, not even close to being the best fighter in the league, and
he's also scoring 20 goals a year. So he's playing, it doesn't matter if he fights or not. He's scoring 20 goals a year.
Yeah.
We're not comparing the same kind of player. Same thing with Olivier in Columbus. He still scores 15, 18, 19 goals a year. So the fighting is just a secondary thing to the fact that if there's no fighting, you could still help your team. We have to compare the same kind of player and the same impact they have when they're not fighting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. A lot of Habs fans listen to guys like Pierre Maguire keep harping about Montreal not being tough enough, and they take his word as gospel. Yeah, I don't know. I don't hear too much of what Pierre has to say. They are building this team so far on speed like Carolina, and it's a mistake. In my opinion, fourth line would be amazing. Just imagine Thorpe, Jenner, Jacky. Oh my. Yeah. So Carolina's leading the East. Montreal is fourth place. Yeah. Oh, Not having those tough guys is really hurting those teams, eh? They're only first and fourth in the friggin' conference. Anyway, yeah. Thorpe, Jenner, Jackeye, oh my. Yeah. Oh my, when the other team keeps getting 3-on-2s and 4-on-2s because they aren't fast enough to keep up yet. Yeah, oh my, all right. Again, like it just, it's caveman mentality. I'm sorry, but no. Colorado, who are all the tough guys on Colorado? The best team in the league by far this year. Name them.
Yeah.
They got rid of friggin' McDermott, and they've only gotten better. They didn't win anything with McDermott. They got beat in the first round. They had one of the 3 toughest guys in the league, and Ottawa picks him up. And wait a sec, this guy can't play. He's got to be able to play. He's never in the lineup, right? So, anyway,
they could use more size and physicality. It's not a bad thing, but you can't no team is absolutely perfect in everything they have. We're just saying is that it's not the big horrible issue that some people are making it out to be. It would be helpful to have a little bit more of it. Doesn't hurt, but it's not a huge problem with the Habs right now. It's not hurting them terribly. That's what I think we're saying here.
And this, again, Peter, thanks for, I think this might be your first post, but you're talking 40 years ago when every team had 3 or 4 scrappers in their lineup. He's saying, just look at guys like Probert, Nyland, O'Reilly, Jonathan. They all had key roles. 50 years ago, my friend. Not today. The game has changed. You don't have to have 4 guys that can scrap. Philly had about 8 back in the 80s and 90s. So of course, if every team has 3 scrappers, well, yeah, Cup winners had tough guys on their team because every team had tough guys on their team. So, it wouldn't be any different for friggin' and by the way, Stan Jonathan never won a cup. Terry O'Reilly never won a cup. So you're wrong on those 2. Probert, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
They won cups after. He may have been on 1 cup, maybe, but Detroit wasn't winning. In fact, they set a record for points and then lost the cup. But did Probert even win a cup? I don't know. Chris Nyland, well, he was part of 1 cup in 90 or 86, which is 40 years ago. Again, it was a different era, right? And Montreal could have won the cup that year, probably without Chris Nyland in his 4th minutes, but maybe not. But again, that was 40 years ago, and the game has changed. You had to have a tough guy in the lineup in those days, at least one. The Habs had Kordic and Nyland because every team had them. But the game has changed. There's I'd say there might be a half dozen enforcers in the league today, if that. Like Olivier Delorier. I don't know. Jeannot can play too, so I don't even know if you would, classify. And even Olivier scored 15 goals, so it's not like he's just out there to fight. Delorier can play hockey too. Like there are no, John Scotts in the league anymore. It's just it's gone the way of the dodo, right? So anyway.
Yeah. And Probert, Nyland, O'Reilly all scored 20 goals. So if Montreal had a scrapper, like a big time fighter that scored 15 goals a year, I think he'd be in the lineup. I don't think that would be a question. It's, can you afford to have a guy whose main job is to fight but only plays 6-7 minutes a game? That is the question. Not do we need a scrapper? It's not the same thing. We're comparing apples to oranges here. You cannot compare a 6-minute a guy game to a 15-20 goal scorer. It does not compute.
Yeah. Kachuk. He's a bit of a scrapper. He's a 50-goal scorer, and no, he can't fight his way out of a paper bag. He's just a shit disturber, is what he is. Who has a higher ceiling, Sawyer or Papanicus? Ceiling? Well, it would be Sawyer, but floor, Papanicus all day and twice on Sunday. So take your pick, right? Okay, well, that, and people are, nope, Probert never won a cup. That's what I thought. So that argument's pretty moot. Three of the four players that he mentioned never won a cup, and the other one won one. On a team that's 124 and had Bob Gainey and Guy Carbonneau and Larry Robinson and freaking on and on, Hall of Famers on it. So, they didn't win a cup because of Chris Nyland. He was a part of it. And that's it. Yes, they are first, but what they managed to achieve in playoffs. Colorado, Mattson just beat the crap out of somebody. Come on, man. I don't know what your argument is, but anyway. Grant, I got to say, your irritation and scouting videos are why I follow a Habs account. Okay. Also why I'm still blocked on Twitter. Okay. Well, I've got a inkling. I remember now why I blocked you. You've been a bit of a pain in the ass today, GLG. There. How's that? Is that irritating enough for you, buddy? I thought I had unblocked you, but I guess not. Do we still need to fix our defense? Maybe a Reinbacher so we're ready for the playoffs. I don't know. I thought so earlier, but hey, the last 4 or 5 games, defenses look good. I think they got the pairings sorted out a little better. Last night was a good example, Rick. The difference between the 6th defenseman, which was Struble getting 16 minutes, and the first defenseman got 21 minutes. There was a 5-minute gap. And I'm positive that's the smallest gap that there's been between the top guy and the bottom guy. And it goes to show you, okay, Marty's finally confident in all 6. He's confident in the 3 pairings. He'll put the 3 pairings out, run them out, and special teams, okay, you play a couple of guys more than others. But as far as just running the 3 pairings out for most of the game, he's at that point where he's comfortable with it. And that helps, man. The more you play with a player, instead of it being mixed up all the time, the better you know each other. And you go from there. So what do you think of what do you think of the do you think that they need, well, listen, you need experience on defense, and I think the thinking with the Habs is that they will. You got to have a couple of veterans on there, and if you bring in yet another rookie on a defense core that already, like, they're 24.7 years average age right now, and if you brought in Reinbacher to replace Carrier, they'd be 23.1, and the last 10 Stanley Cup winning, I looked at the rosters. All of the average age of the defense core was 29 to 32 and a half. And Montreal's with Reinbacher in it would be 23. Nobody even close to that age won a Stanley Cup. So maybe, I've altered my thinking a little bit in the past couple of weeks, where I don't think that it's a necessity to have Reinbacher playing in the playoffs. It looks like they've righted the ship somewhat.
Yeah, I think the issue is, and there's 2 big issues at D that changed a lot with Goulet back and playing with Carrier. You kind of were reminded, and it's the same thing in Nashville, right? Where Carrier was often playing with Roman Josi, And he held his own for Roman. Like we've realized quickly that Carrier cannot carry a duo, but he works well as a complementary piece, and he seems comfortable in that role. Matched up with Goulet, we're seeing the best of Carrier now, which is great. That's very important. Second thing is Struble has stepped up his game. So with those two factors together, I'm like you, Grant. I don't think it's as urgent to bring up Brian Backer. Let him play 24, 25 minutes in Laval in the playoffs. Let him be the go-to guy. And the Habs roster is not is like 80% complete. It's not totally there yet. You're still gonna need eventually, you're gonna want an upgrade a bit on the right side to be a top-notch, you know, bona fide Stanley Cup contender. I think they're very close to that, though. But you're going to need that upgrade at right D, and that's going to come with Ryan Backer, especially. And there's still maybe a top six guy you need, and hopefully that's going to come with age. But the Habs are a lot further off than a lot of teams are, and they're very young, and they still have a lot of assets. Just be a little bit patient, folks. It's coming together, and it's close. You can feel it. And I know when you get close, you get hungry and you want to grab that last bite right away and go for it. But it's coming together really well. And that's really important. As a group, the defense is playing very, very well. And ride the wave, guys. It's going well. There's no need to start running around after that extra piece. This is the lineup. It's good. Let's see how far it could take the Habs.
Yeah. Just looking at something here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. After this season, folks, keep seeing the name Tom Wilson. Like he's the be-all to end-all that takes Washington to playoff glory. After this season, with Washington going to be missing the playoffs again, the great Tom Wilson and the indispensable Tom Wilson will have been on a Washington team that has won one playoff series in the last 8 years. So if you think that that's, Tom Wilson's answer, one playoff series win in the last 8 years, folks. So I don't know about that. Rick, let's get to your prospect of the week, buddy.
Absolutely. So my prospect of the week is a 6'1", 202-pound center named Ryder Cali from playing for North Bay. Very interesting guy. 210 pounds. Sorry about that. I read that too quickly. But born in Switzerland, raised in the Cayman Islands. His mom was a hockey player in Switzerland. And here you're going to see him play he's a good two-way center, and he's coming along really nicely. You see that he breaks up the play, and then he's going to come in and really contribute to offense. And there he goes. He scores that goal. So he made a good play defensively, followed through, and then he scores a goal offensively. And that's Ryder Cali in here. And here, watch this goal, Grant. Really nice deke. And a really nice deke, nice. And there he goes. He played left wing until mid-January, and then he was converted to center. So, and he's a really good two-way center. And here he goes again on the penalty kill, gets that puck, goes up, fakes it, and boom, nice goal right there. So he's a really good, he scores on his opportunities, and here he's gonna come in and contribute to the game, follow through, and that leads to a goal too. He gets an assist on that one. He's an incredibly smart player positionally. He skates pretty well. He could use a little bit more speed, but he's not bad at all. Nice long pass here, almost led to a goal. Really, really smart. Here he goes again. He gets in. Look at that. He goes to the net, draws the goal, and he doesn't get the goal there, but he drew the goaltender. So he does these smart. I say he creates offense without the puck. And here he goes. He goes through big Evan Passmore, 6'4", 230 pounds, but he gets by him, and he could have got hit hard, but he pushed through, and he did really well. Another here play, really important. Look at this breakout pass. Really not good, but he saved it there. And then that leads to an opportunity there. So he's got good hand, high coordination again, smarts, solid. Some good hands, as you said. Another example of good hands, Grant gets the puck here. Nice move there, one-on-one. So he's really defensively aware, though. And look at this play here. He comes back hard on a breakdown, if you will, gets into position quickly, and look, he plays it smart, gets the puck very quickly. What he does here, spots a man, gets in deep. Another nice play, and does a nice pass there. So he gains the blue line well. He doesn't have amazing creativity, but he makes good passes. Here he wins the positional battle and gets the puck out of his zone. So there's a lot of good things he does defensively. A little bit sometimes, a lack of coordination. I think he's growing into that big frame here. He loses the puck, and that's they're on the power play there, and he tries to catch up to the play and doesn't really get to it on time, so they get a goal scored on them. So the thing to remember to me about Ryder Cali is he's recently was shifted to center. Smart guy. He verbally committed to Harvard. He is playing on a team that doesn't have a ton of creativity. They play a really structural game, and he has to work within that. But I like he's a pretty good skater, very good hands, smart two-way center, does well in the face-off circle, and a bit of a bonus, he's a September 2008 birthday. So he's a very young compared to a lot of players at this draft. He's got good size. I just think there's a lot of upside to this kid. No, maybe not to be a star center, but I think he has the potential to be a really good second line center for a team that wants to go far because of his attention to detail, his intelligence. Just has to work a little bit more on his skating and maybe win a little bit more puck battles. That's always been a bit of an issue with him, where he engages, but he has trouble coming out with the puck. And hopefully, as again he continues to grow into his body, it'll go much better for him.
All right. That's a good job, Rick. And he's a good looking prospect for sure. I asked a scout about him, and he said he made the mention, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but poor man's Desnoyers is what he said. So
I like that. The only thing, it's because Desnoyers played so much wing because he was stacked on the team and with Moncton, and he was dealing with that wrist injury. But I like it. I like it a lot. That's a really, really smart comparison. It makes sense to me. He's not going to score by being an offensive juggernaut. He's going to be a two-way player that's going to score on his intelligence and his ability to break down the opponent's play. And I really think that's a really smart comparison, actually. I didn't even cross my mind, but I do like that a lot.
Well, it goes to show that this scout likes him. Where do you think he slots at this point in this draft class?
I'm intrigued, Grant, because I think a lot of other services have him in the middle or beginning of the second round. I like him quite a bit more than that. I got him around 24, 25, 26 personally. And but I think there's a real good chance that he will go that high. And the reason, Grant, is he's coming on strong in the second half of the season. And I think a lot of people are going to be really responding to that. Again, he moved to center only in mid-January, and he's adapted so well so quickly. And I can't stress this enough. North Bay does not play a very fun, creative style where the guys are let go. It's a team that's super structured. You really cannot deviate too much from that. And you look at his lineup, there's not a lot of game-breaking players on that lineup. That roster does not have that. It's, bigger guys that go up and down the ice. They don't have that defenseman that, just gets the puck down the ice quickly with some great creativity. So I think there's some upside to him that's going to intrigue a lot. And again, a center that's, 6'1.5" and over 200 pounds will intrigue a lot of teams, especially one as young as he is.
Oh, for sure. No, they seem to be pumping out one guy. Like that's 3 straight years. I liked Amidovsky last year, the year before Precision. And now this kid, they're all kind of in the same sort of mold, like you say, the two-way, they play a good defensive game first and foremost. And you think, well, I hope that their offense can come here as time goes along. But they do have a type of player, you're right, that, they keep turning them out here, right?
Yeah. And it's funny is that I look at sometimes I look at the players' jersey numbers, and everybody has like a low number. They're one of those traditional approaches, right? Where the guys don't have like number 77 or number 82 on that roster. I think that's all guys with. I'll have to look
Yeah,
again, but I think it's all guys that have like really. Again, it's a team structured mentality, a little bit of an old school approach with North Bay.
yeah, for sure. There seems to be a groundswell of people here talking about Tom Wilson. Hey, I'm not saying that Tom Wilson wouldn't, yeah, it'd be nice to have Tom Wilson in Montreal's lineup. Sure, it wouldn't. They need that type of player. I don't disagree with that, but he's 32 years old, right? Tom Wilson in the lineup, and Washington hasn't had a terrible team the last 8 years. They've got, the greatest goal scorer in history that gets 50 goals every year. They had John Carlson those 8 years, who was a hell of a defenseman, and other good players, including Backstrom for a number of years where he was really good. Great, top two centers. Wilson's 32 years old. He's got a 26, 27, 28, 29, 33. He's got 5 or 6 years left on his contract. So he'll be 38 by the end of that. He's making $7 million or so a year. In 5 years' time, that I don't know how good that contract would look. And on top of it, you'd have to trade to get him. You would have to give up quite a boatload of players' assets. So I don't know. Would you you think that the Canadians should try to trade for Tom Wilson in the offseason?
No, it's just at this age and the style he plays and that big heavy body, I could see joint problems creeping in, back problems keep creeping in. I could see some, when he's going to start to break down because of the physical and some of his game is relied on that big body of his. When he starts to break down, it's going to happen fast and it's going to happen hard, and it's going to be hard for him to be effective. No, I'm not. He's not the guy I'm trading for. I'm looking elsewhere. If you really want to get bigger and stronger and maybe score a few goals, Brazeau's going to be a free agent, I think, at the end of the year. See if you could get a deal done with him instead. He's a poor man's Wilson, but he's got big size and he scored a few goals this year. He can play on your bottom lineup. I think he's 6'4", 6'5", and something like that. And he's not going to cost you an asset to get. That's what I would do personally. And it's hard to get guys on the free agent market. I'm not saying it's an easy thing, but I would probably use my energies more there and I'd rather wait for, new great video on Tyler Thorpe, and I love the guy. I think he's somebody to really keep a close eye on. I take my chances there too. No, I'm not giving up those assets to get Tom Wilson, because I think you're looking at a year or two, and then it's going to start becoming difficult, and it's not worth that effort.
Yeah, no, for sure. Somebody's saying he makes the same salary as Gallagher. Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to compare one of the worst contracts in the league to another player, yeah, that other player's contract will look attractive. The fact is, though, Gallagher doesn't have 5 years left on his deal, and Tom Wilson's going to be 38 at the end of this deal. And I can guarantee you, with like you say, the type of game that he plays, he's not going to be very effective by the age of 36, 37, I don't think. And you'd be regretting that, that you gave up, I don't know, one of maybe your best prospect. Like this would cost Hage in a first-round pick or something like that to get Tom Wilson, folks. So do you still want $7 million guy at 38 years of age? Brendan Gallagher didn't cost Hage in a first-round pick. Was picked of the Montreal Canadiens, and his contract's up next year. So, there's a difference there. Yeah. No. So anyway, exactly. And plus, Tom Wilson's a jerk. I mean, he freaking makes hits. I'm sorry, he's dirty. I'm not a big Tom Wilson guy. He hits guys that are vulnerable all the time, and should have been suspended way more times than he has in his career. Do I want that guy on the Montreal Canadiens? Not necessarily. Yes, I get it that they want a big guy that is physical, but do I want it to be a guy who's 32 with 5 years left at 7 million plus? That's a jerk, and is going to cost you a Hage and a first round pick or something like that. I'll pass. But anyway, hey, we can all have our opinions on it. Nexus saying, "Oh, wait till the playoffs. A team like Tampa will be all over him." Again, who are the real tough guys on Tampa? Like, name the guy that Struble would be afraid to drop the gloves with on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Just like if Jack-I wasn't in the lineup and Struble had to fight. Is there a guy that he would be terrified of or couldn't handle himself against? I don't. Eric Chernak's a big guy, but he's not, he's not a heavyweight fighter or anything like that.
I agree.
It was brought up last year, Kent Hughes brought up the fact, everyone keeps saying, well, Washington was more physical than Montreal in the playoffs, and so they had to be more physical. I do agree that the club, I think for them to win 4 playoff series, they're going to need to get bigger and tougher here. I don't disagree with that, but Kent did bring up the fact that, look, yes, Washington beat us, and yes, they were a bigger, more rugged team, but then they faced a team that's very similar to the Canadiens in Carolina in the next round and didn't come close to beating them. Yeah. So was the only reason they beat them because they're bigger and tougher, or Carolina beat them and they didn't have any big tough guys. They had more skill. Well, Montreal this year now has more skill. Montreal's a better team than Washington. I would have no issue facing Washington in the first round of the playoffs this year.
Oh, yeah.
If it came,
for sure.
They're a better team. And, the young guys have grown and matured another year. And, so, yeah, I do think they need to get a couple of more bigger players, a defenseman and a forward. But that's going to come in this offseason, in one form or another, I think. I think, they're going to try to make their oh, you got to get rolling there? Okay. Yeah, I was going to wrap this up quickly. I guess maybe what I'll do is I'll do the Sam Harris video, Rick, without you. You got to get going. No worries. Sorry that we went this long. We ended up, getting into some interesting conversations.
We always do, man.
Some sidebars. Okay?
Yeah, it's great. No, it was always a good talk, man.
Okay, man. Well, look, I'll let you go, and I'll wrap up with Sam Harris.
Awesome.
And I have to get the computer. The young lad's tapping his foot for me to get out of here too. So I'll do the Sam Harris and wrap it up. And you watching the game tonight?
Absolutely, I will be watching the game for sure. That's I deserve it after a long week.
Yeah. Well, if you want to pop on for a few minutes after the game tonight, you're welcome to as well.
I would love to.
That
would be great. I will.
Great. We'll see Rick again in a few hours.
Thank you, guys.
And I'll be doing
Later,
it from my kitchen table because I want the young lad. He's getting the dungeon for the rest of the day. So,
awesome.
Okay, Rick. We'll see you at the dining room table after post game tonight.
Lovely. Thanks a lot, Grant. Always great to talk to you and see everybody later.
Okay, bye. Rick Springhetti, folks, the one and only. Great conversation. And hey, guys, you're not wrong with. Yes, a Tom Wilson type would be nice on the Canadiens. It's probably not going to be Tom Wilson per se, but I don't disagree with people that a little more jam, a little more size in the lineup will go a long way to being able to win 4 playoff series. I mean, I've been saying it all year. I thought it should have been addressed at the trade deadline, and it wasn't. So do I think the Canadians are going to win the cup this year? Probably not. But I guess the organization is thinking we're just still a little too young, a little too green, even with an addition or two at the deadline to win it all this year. So they're waiting one more off season to address that. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. I don't know. We'll see. But okay, my Habs prospect of the week is a player that I have not profiled all year, and he had a goal and assist the other night. He's playing today in a big matchup this afternoon, and that would be Denver's Sam Harris. Let's have a look at this game against Cornell. Alexei Cornwallier in nets. He's number 12, playing on the left side. Good job by him keeping the puck in there. Now, Harris is, I don't know, he's about 5'10 and a half, I'd say. He's stocky. I remember seeing him at the development camp, and, he's not overly tall, but pretty stocky. So let's just quickly, I'm going to bring up his stats here. Sorry about that. They've got him listed at 6'1". Okay, well, I thought 5'10 and a half. He's 6 foot. I don't think he's taller than that. Basically, similar stats each year here. 35 last year, 23 goals, 33 this year. Yeah, not as good as, you like to see progression in stats usually, but Denver had a lot. They had a lot higher scoring team last year, and that would be why his point totals are down, because he ended up third on the team in points this year, actually third best, and also top 6 and plus minus at plus 17. So his goals against average 225, which is half decent. The team goals against average 210, so not really hurting the team when he's out there, but a good solid campaign from him in his junior year, and he's a half decent looking prospect. Let's get back to the tape here. He had a goal and an assist in this game, so pretty solid outing from him. Skating has been kind of the issue in the past, and actually at that development camp, I was a bit surprised that, his skating, it's not certainly not above average, but I don't think that it's straight ahead. He's got decent mobility now. I wouldn't say that he's an agile skater, but again, his body type is more, when you're a thick kid like him, you're not usually there. He alluded to Czech there. You're not usually an east-west kind of guy. It's going to be more up down the wing. But he is a good goal scorer. He goes to the net. He's got a knack of scoring close in, but he's also got a good shot. So there's there is some goal scoring ability there. There he gets knocked down. Do I think he's got NHL potential? I don't know. I don't think so, but you don't never say never on these guys. I think he can become a half decent goal scorer probably at the AHL level, and keep working on his skating, keep working on his two-way game. I think he's got enough hockey sense and enough shooting skill to and here was a nice play by him to play at the AHL level and maybe find a regular role there, score a few goals. So Yeah, that was a nice play by him, getting back and knocked the guy down. Good defensive play, showed some grit there, and lost the puck there. But he had a pretty solid game. Here he gets the puck in front. Tried the backhand, didn't work, but he can find he finds the scoring areas. Like I say, he's a fairly intelligent player. Not a lot of wasted motion here. Here he gets the puck. Like this is his goal. Comes out to him in the slot. Boom. Nice shot. The big Selly. He was pretty happy. Cornwallis against Cornwallis. Number 12. Number 12 scored against Cornwallis. Does that little bit of symbolism there? I thought it was kind of a little bit of irony, that it was a Cornwallis that got scored on against the number 12, two Habs prospects. So anyway, here's just the as you can see, he's got a half decent release, and he scored quite a few goals in NCAA for a kid that was picked as late as he was in the draft. Being a late round pick, he's done. I think he's overachieved. Really, it's going to be 23. Start a next training camp. Now, does he come out this year? I would think that he'll probably go back for a senior season. I don't know if the Habs have a contract for him at this point, but they might sign him. It will all depend on, how many contracts they have left. There's we'll just roll that back a bit. Good play by him here, and he ends up getting the assist. So, goal and an assist, which is hey, like to see that in the tournament. Steps up when it counted, and he's won a national championship too. So he's got a winning pedigree. There he's intercepts the puck and gets a shot in on net. He had an effective game. I didn't mind his game. Again, he's not a great skater, but I don't think it's a major weakness at this point. So hopefully Michigan or sorry, Denver goes a long way here. Setting up if Michigan wins today and Denver beats Western Michigan. By the way, the game starts at 3. They'd be playing each other in the next round, so that'd be kind of cool too if you saw Hage versus Harris in the Frozen Four. So it's gonna be fun. I hope he has a good game today, and I hope that the club I hope that Denver can win. It'd be great. So skating is an issue, size is an issue. What are we talking about here? Well, he's 6 foot and fairly stocky. I just finished saying skating isn't an issue. So what we're talking about here, Shady, is you not hearing what I said too clearly, I think. Are you saying Buffalo are idiots for bringing in Shen and Stanley? Boy, there's some what are people not listening today or whatever? I said that I had hoped that they had brought in some size at the deadline. Now you're saying, are you saying Buffalo are idiots for anyway? Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Please don't forget to hit the like button. Yeah, or the dislike button. A couple people there. Folks, you hear what you want to hear sometimes, I just finished saying they're going to add next playoff. They think that they're a year away. Do I agree with it? No. I wanted them to add toughness. I wanted them to add a forward and a defenseman at playoff time or for the playoffs, but they didn't. So, like, why are you asking me? Anyway, that's fine. No, I don't think they're teasing me. They're just not listening. They're hearing what they want to hear. What about McKinnon? Him, one of the most skilled players in the last 20 years. Yeah. Anyway, some back and forth on, do the Canadians need to add some size and grit? I think so. So you're like, I don't know. You're arguing with yourselves, guys. Really, I just Tom Wilson the answer. Would you give up Hage in a first round pick for Tom Wilson? I absolutely wouldn't. That's about what it would cost. I mean, if you folks think that that's going to be the difference maker, guy that's helped Washington win one playoff series in 8 years, good, fine. Yeah. I had enough. I can do whatever I want, buddy. Carolina did bring in Deslauriers. Yeah. It's caveman thinking, folks, that having that the only way you can win is with the enforcers, and you have to have Jackeye in the lineup. It is caveman thinking. It's not the friggin' 70s, 80s anymore. The game has changed. You can disagree with me all you want, and that's fine. But anyways, it's reality. Okay, you need skill more so than anything. I still think that they need to add some toughness as time goes along here, and that partially will be internally, right? Florian Jackeye is eventually going to be ready here. Thorpe will be ready. They're not rushing it, and I get it. I get their approach. I'm impatient. You're impatient. We're all a little bit impatient. We'd like to win now. The Canadians are taking a different approach to it. Anyway, we're all on the same page here at the end of the day. Really, I'm not disagreeing that they need to get, some size in here. But anyway, I got to go. I'll see you guys after the game. And hey, enjoy your afternoon. I'm going to watch a little college hockey here. I hope the Habs, well, it's going to be tough going into Carolina and beating the Hurricanes, especially since they've got Nick Deslauriers in the lineup. Like, how do you skate around him, right? Okay. Man, there's some anyway. Okay, folks. We'll agree to disagree on a couple of things here. That's fine. Listen,